a stack of rock. Hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a stack of rock. Grab a stack of rock.
Hey, fellas!
Hello, hello.
Oh, hello.
I think I'm a little loud, aren't I? Am I a
You're
little
the
loud?
host.
Sorry?
You're the host.
No, I'm just. Is my audio really loud?
Someone is coming through someone else.
I'm turning myself down a bit. There we go. Hey, fellas, how are you tonight?
Pretty good.
Excellent. We have the reunited crew of 2 weeks ago. We did the Star Trek show with Lieutenant. No, it was Ensign Durling. It was Lieutenant Commander Daniels and Commander Kopp, I believe it was. This is the ranks that we had. I am getting a bit of echo from somebody. I think it might be Tim. I'm not sure. Anyway, tonight is actually Tim's show in a respect, because it was his idea to do reissue record labels. So we're going to be taking a look at some CDs tonight that fall under that category. This is a kind of a niche episode for the nerds and the geeks out there who collect things physically. And Tim, I'm really glad that you suggested it, actually, because I've grabbed a nice stack there. Tim? Am I talking to myself? What's going on here?
No, I can hear you, but
I can hear you.
Tim's deaf?
I can hear you.
Okay, Tim, we cannot hear you.
Interesting.
He can't hear anything, according to what I read from his
from our lip reading.
Yeah.
I'm seeing if I can remedy this situation. There are three of us, though we can communicate okay.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, I can hear you, and if you can hear me, then that's. Can you hear any of it?
I can hear you just fine.
Rob's sounding a little higher pitched than usual, I must admit.
Yeah, and Rob, there is something going on with the audio. You're coming in like you're in a helium balloon.
Yeah, like Max the Axe did at the very start when we first interviewed them.
Hang on, I may have to do something. Just give me 1 second here.
Okay. And as for Tim, I don't have controls of his. It must be on his end. Here, I'm going to see if I can get him in the private chat here. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead with Ask Harrison. I'm going to try to troubleshoot while we do this. So first, our first question for Harrison is going to be, remember last week when we had Blaze Bailey?
Nope, don't remember that one bit.
Okay, well, we've got a different guest this time, and it's somebody a little bit different from Blaze Bailey. This time we have an actual question from T-Bone Man.
Hello, Harrison. T-Bone Man here. How's it going? Or should I call you El Mustachio? Mad respect. You know, there's something I've always been meaning to ask you. Are there any Australian-specific superheroes or comic book heroes that we in North America may not know about? And is there one in particular that is or was quite popular that you could expand on? What? Me? No way. Anyway, just one of those things I've always wanted to know. As always, good seeing you. Take care.
Okay, Harrison, how was that?
Well, I was supposed to do some research for this, but I must admit I have forgotten. So this is just going from my own knowledge. I can't exactly recall too many Australian superheroes, either one's from Australia or of Australian nationality. I'm not sure. Captain Boomerang is the one that everyone kind of knows now from the 2 Suicide Squad movies, but I'm not sure you'd call him a superhero. Steve Irwin, maybe, I guess. Does he count?
Yeah, sure. Actually, he had a movie where he was kind of, well, he was the protagonist. I mean, he wasn't a superhero, but he was a protagonist. I'll count that. Good one. I don't want to proceed with the next question until we get Durling back. So I'm going to run a video until we get Durling back. This is dedicated to Mr. Rob Daniels. This is called A Vision in Sound. And then hopefully we get Mr. Durling
I can't hear.
back.
I think Rob was trying to speak, but I couldn't hear him.
Mr. Durling's back. Hang on. Okay, so he's muted. I'll unmute him. There we go. Can you hear me?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, as in most things in my life, it's my own stupid fault. I didn't allow access to the microphone and the camera. Two pretty important things.
Thank you for kindly allowing access. Okay, so this next question is it's for me and the group, but I think Mr. Durling will be able to be more insightful here. This is from our good friend California Girl, and we'll be talking more about her later.
Here's some peacocks. I'll go right over to for you. Hi, boys. Looking good today. These strutters.
Hi, greetings from sunny Southern California. Just out in the jacuzzi, relaxing, listening to music with my husband. And he and I got into a debate about Heart and Pat Benatar. Now, that being said, I'm not a huge advocate for female frontmen. Even with Fleetwood Mac, I prefer Lindsey Buckingham's songs. I just like a male sound better. But with Heart and Pat Benatar, I love Pat Benatar. I like Heart. Heart's good. They've got a lot of great songs. I just prefer Pat Benatar. Just kind of curious, like what your guys' thoughts were. I think I probably know. I think probably the universal consensus is Heart, but I'm just kind of curious. And then I was also wondering, Pat Benatar's song, Hell is for Children. Mike, this one's for you. I could Google it, but I'm kind of just curious if you already know or what your thoughts are on it. What the heck is that song about? Great song, but Hell is for Children? I don't know about that. Anyways, hope you guys are having a great show and just thought I would ask. All right, bye.
Okay, so regarding the latter, I don't know the song. I trust you that it's a great song, but I had to Google the lyrics. And when I read the lyrics, it seemed to me the song might have been about child abuse. That's what I got from the lyrics. Kind of like a white lion, broken home kind of vibe is what I got.
Right.
Okay, so we're in.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And I thought maybe we'd just go around and say Heart or Pat Benatar. I'm Heart.
I can't stand Heart.
Ooh, controversial.
And I love Benatar's Live from Earth live album. That's a great live album.
Well,
I know Jon Snow's on my side too.
He's made his vote clear. Rob?
Many years ago, I would have said Pat Benatar. There's a few songs from soundtracks that she's done. However, most recently, I discovered their both Ann and Nancy Wilson's version of Stairway to Heaven.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, for me it's Heart.
Cool. That's 2 for Heart, 1 for Benatar. And Tim, I'm not sure where you like, because I believe you like both.
So this is I'm sorry guys, the not allowing microphone and camera access is new. I was in such a hurry to log in.
Yeah, we were talking about Atari games to like 5 minutes before login.
But Mike, whenever you play a question someone sends, I could never hear them.
Oh, really? Every time?
Ever.
Oh.
Doesn't matter if I'm on my phone or I just never hear them.
Well, that's good.
I'm assuming she asked if we prefer Pat Benatar or Heart.
That was the essence of the question, yes.
Well, let me answer this way. I am a fan of both. I've seen them. Actually, I saw them both over the same festival weekend. I have Pat Benatar Best Shots on CD. I have Everything by Heart. Now, boy, they both have great songs. I mean, and I'm an '80s guy, so I Pat Benatar, I go, yeah, Invincible. And Heart, I go,
This
yeah.
is hard for you. This is hard for you.
I got to go with Heart just because of the volume of the music, like
Wow.
not loudness, but the catalog. But I am a fan of both. And after watching Sea of Tranquility, where Pete and Jamie go through the Pat Benatar catalog, I think I should probably start listening to some of her actual albums, because I literally only have the greatest hits disc.
Yeah, they just did that a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So that's a 3-1 for Hart, but with Tim, with you can almost throw Benatar a half point on that one just from Tim's testimony there.
And the embarrassing thing is that it was like there were several acts on the bill. So the group of us that went down, we only saw about half of Pat Benatar's set because we were really there to see Foreigner and then Leonard Skinner. So we get there halfway through, and I hear this voice like, "What? Who's?" I look on stage, little tiny little thing on stage. Sorry, it's Pat Benatar. She's not a very big girl, right?
Yeah.
Singing, like, this was 1998, so she'd have been 45, not old, far from old. I'm older than that now.
Younger than me.
But she sounded amazing. Like, and we were lucky enough to get there. And it's honest to God, I'd heard of the song, but I'd never actually heard it before. Hell is for Children. Holy cow, that kicked ass.
So that was the song that she mentioned in her question. She was wondering what the song was about. She said
it's definitely about child abuse. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. No questions about child abuse.
Okay. So we have universal consensus there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to plug two things, but maybe we should get on with the rock and do some plugging maybe mid-show. And Tim, you know what I'm talking about.
I've wasted enough of our time. So
well, we're still going to plug your thing. But let's get on with some rock first. And I think I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to start. Just for the hell of it, I'm going to start. I have a stack of budgie
socks.
A stack of socks. No, that was Rob that had the rack of
socks.
The rack of socks.
Brilliant.
I got a stack of budgie. And these probably form the nice budgie bird thing, but I've got them all in the wrong order. These are on a label called Round Hill Record. Oh, sorry, that's Triumph.
I was gonna say, that's the same label that reissued the Triumph stuff.
No, this is on a label called, pardon me, get my glasses here, Noteworthy Productions. And they did a fantastic job. I believe I have these in the wrong order, otherwise it would form a better picture. But I have here Power Supply, Deliver Us from Evil, In for the Kill, and the debut budgie. These are very expensive to buy if you can find them in store, or if you can get them on Amazon. They're usually between $35 to $40. So, if you can find one for cheap, get them. They have your typical liner notes, very good liner notes. Here's a booklet, for example. You know what you're getting.
Great Roger Dean artwork on some of those.
Yes, on some of those. There's bonus tracks, and I believe on almost every single one of these. No, okay, never mind. I misspoke. But on some of these, there are re-recordings from the then current version of Budgie, which I believe is circa 2003-ish.
Craig Goldie.
Yes. Maybe not that precise lineup, but I do know Craig Goldie from Dio was in Budgie at one point in the 2000s. They did have lineup changes even in the 2000s. But that's again, Noteworthy Productions that put these out, and they did a darn fine job of it. I'm guessing they must be all UK imports that are not sold here in North America, except expensively. So that was my round one. Harrison, I don't know how many things you have, but I know you have something.
Yeah, I'm mainly going to be focusing on one band today, which is Oingo Boingo. So for those of you that know legendary film composer Danny Elfman, this is the band he was in before he was legendary film composer Danny Elfman.
Well said.
And they're very eclectic, the type of music they make, but I think the best way of narrowing it down is to say that they're Pink Floyd if Pink Floyd played punk. And so the reissue label that I'm going to be talking about is called Rubel and Remasters. It's a small reissue label, one-man operation, and he basically focuses on early 80s new wave bands, so stuff like Visage, Missing Person. I think I saw a Rick Ocasek, a couple of those on his store, but Oingo Boingo is his main draw. And for the audiophiles in the audience, you will like that because his profile picture on Facebook is a brick wall with one of those red circles with the line through it. He believes in dynamic mastering, and he actually gets the master tapes, remasters them himself for his discs.
Very
so
cool.
The first one, some of you have actually already heard this because it was featured in the 1981 show.
Yes.
This is their debut album. And each of these albums comes with bonus tracks. In the case of this album, it's their 1980 Oingo Boingo EP, and it includes actually 2 versions of the song Ain't This the Life. And the EP cover art actually looks like this, which is neat.
So you could do the flip if you wanted to.
Yeah, if you absolutely wanted to, you could flip it. Their demo EP from '79, he didn't get permission to be able to do, which is unfortunate because I like the song Forbidden Zone, and you can only get that on that EP. But what he did was he carried over from the original CD liner notes.
Okay.
I don't know how well you're going to be able to read this, lining it up. Can you see?
Not very clearly, no. We can't see.
In the top left.
Top left. You really got me?
Yeah.
You really know, or you should know
these
lyrics by now. Okay, good, good.
That was in the original CD. So it's funny to see that carried over. Then their second album from 1982, Nothing to Fear. I initially wrote this off when I first heard it. There's only like 1 or 2 good songs, but I listened to it again when I got it. And well, there's Danny Elfman being Danny Elfman. But I listened to it again when I got it just recently, and there's actually a lot more great songs on it than I remember. So I'm glad I got it. This was one of the later ones I got. And you get basically picture disc with each of them, and then under the disc they've got like a
oh, that's cool.
of the main
like
track.
That's
the main track
vinyl
list.
Yeah.
You can actually get all of these on vinyl as well. They're coming. But
That's a
I've
nice
only got
touch,
them
though.
on
That's a
CD.
nice touch.
Yeah.
You heard Tim go crazy on his.
More on that label later.
Ooh.
Ooh, Holland's gonna like
Actually, yeah. You know what? I think I'm with you on that one, Tim. I might be.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The bonus tracks this time are Better Luck Next Time, which is from a movie soundtrack. Boingo had a lot of songs on movie soundtracks that get collected for this. He didn't have because he needed Elfman's consent to put unreleased stuff on here, but Elfman was busy with his own album. So he, instead of getting unreleased stuff, he just collated everything, just about everything that was out there that he could, and put them on. And then the single version of Private Life.
Cool.
And then their third album, this is my favorite album of theirs, it always has been, is, I believe it's, Good for Your Soul.
I like the cover.
Yeah. And of course, the vinyl's underneath it, but I'm not going to take the disc out for everyone. And the bonus tracks on this one are Bachelor Party and Something Isn't Right, which are both from the movie soundtrack Bachelor Party. Something Isn't Right is a great song. I'm not as fond of Bachelor Party. And then the single version of Wake Up, it's 1984.
Cool.
And that will be my round 1.
Excellent. Bravo, my friend. Thanks for bringing the Boingo. And over to you, Mr. Daniels and Mr. Gimli Cat.
Well, I'm actually going to start with something that's not soundtrack related, although there is one, possibly 2 tracks on this album that are soundtrack related. Just give me 1 second because I am currently cat upon. So I have to reach in here.
Half the viewers are here for Gimli.
How many turns are there going to be?
I want to go because we had a rough start. Let's go to like 7:15 and see where we are.
I can't go any later than 7:15.
Okay, perfect. 7:15. And like I said, we got a couple promos to talk about as well.
We're kind of already there. You mean 8:15?
Yes, that's exactly what I meant, Rob. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just curious because I'm looking at it's like 20 after. Boy, it's a really short show. But anyway, so yeah.
Thanks for keeping the ship together, Rob.
Okay, no problem. In any case, I was very pleased to be able to find this particular, and I'm a huge fan of Lorena McKennett.
Oh, nice.
And this album is The Visit. and
That's
this is
true.
a
Yeah.
re-release or a reissue of the 2004 remastered album. However, it comes with 5 discs,
Whoa.
and it has 4 CDs and a Blu-ray disc. And the first CD is, of course, the remastered album. Then there's a bunch of radio broadcasts where she talks on the CBC about various the various songs and that sort of thing. Then they do interviews, almost an hour of interviews with her, and they do it in her studio in Stratford. And I don't know if there's a the thing I like about the interviews is that you can hear the studio, you can hear the
room.
space, you can hear the space, and it's really cool to be able to do that with the sound, and it comes through in the album as well. I haven't watched the Blu-ray yet, but this is one of my favorite releases in the last couple of years, a non-soundtrack release. And yes, I do listen to other things other than soundtracks. However, on this has the very well-known song Bonnie Portmore, and that was used in the Highlander 3 movie, and then it was later used in the television series as well. But this was where it got its start, was on this album here. This is a really good album. Some very good the great songs on here. All Souls Night, Bonnie Portmore. There is a really interesting version of Green Sleeves.
Yes, I remember.
And it's done as if it's Tom Waits. If it's done in kind of a Tom Waits kind of way. It's really cool.
Rob, remind me what year that was originally released.
This was originally released in 91.
91. Wow, I was thinking 93 or 96.
Yeah, it was a 40th anniversary release when I picked this up, and to this day, I just every once in a while I'll just put it in and just listen to it. It's a fantastic album.
You
I
know,
mean, she has a slew of fantastic albums.
Yes,
but this one was the one that got me on board with her.
You know, you're getting
so
old when
that's
you
where I'll
mistake
start.
91 for 96, though. But yeah, that's a good one. I've never seen that reissue, Rob, but goodness knows working at the record store, Lorena McKenna was in constant demand always.
Yeah.
And for good reason. And, you know, we're close to Stratford, and I think that we have sort of a, you know, she's almost like a hometown hero to Kitchener.
Yeah.
Now, my first experience with her was seeing her on the comedy sketch show Bizarre.
Oh, really? Of all places?
Yeah, of all places. Yeah. Is it you got more for your round?
I guess
we can space them out. We can do what you want, man.
Yeah, actually, since we're doing since we're keeping things kind of short, this is another one of my favorite reissues of the last little while.
I have that.
Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds.
I listened to it last week.
The fact that they have remastered it, I had not the vinyl, but I had a 2-disc. I had a 2-disc set that I won in an auction at a radio station I used to work at, and I listened to it and I loved it. But the difference between that 2-disc set and this 2-disc set is night and day. There's so much amazing separation between the instruments. The vocals are cleaned up. Everything is just fantastic. Everybody on this album, like from like Justin Hayward, Phil Lynott, everybody on this sounds amazing. And if you can find this out in the wild, definitely pick it up. It's highly worth it.
You know what, Rob? I'm gonna override you there, and I'm gonna say buy it new, because that's what I did, and I love that. Like, I bought it on recommendation of guys like Rob.
But yeah, definitely worth it.
I got your back there. That album was on my concept album list show. I can't remember where I ranked it. There you go. I played it again. I played it last week, I think Friday, and Justin Hayward was incredible. Phil Lynott as Parson Nathaniel, who's lost
Yeah.
his mind at this point of the story. He's at the point he's introduced, he's already lost his mind.
Oh yeah.
And Lynott just really conveyed a desperation. And I've talked too much over your turn. Let's go to Mr. Durling.
Cool. I've just got a couple short piles here. First label I'm going to talk about is Wounded Bird. They are a label that I'm not sure where they're out of, somewhere in the States. They reissue a lot of albums that were on Atlantic or Warner or CBS. There's a few labels they tend to stick with. The first thing is actually, I didn't have this out when Mike and I filmed our very first Rare CD episode on Tim's Vinyl Confessions, but he insisted that I go get it and said he'd never seen it before, considering he's got this enormous Harem Scarum box set. This is in the EP collection. This has a copyright date of 2011 on it, but it's a collection of singles they put out on the albums Big Bang Theory and Karma Cleansing. So 97 to 98. There's acoustic songs, there's live songs. It's just a cool collection. It's a cool band. I need to get, I'm severely lacking in their stuff. So I got this for my birthday along with the Live at the Phoenix Blu-ray, which is really good. So there's that. Okay, the next one's kind of funny because it's a band that I've championed for years. I just love them. And I actually had, back in the downloading days when you could go online and not only download the music, but get CD booklets and the inner tray things printed off. I had a version of that because I didn't have the actual CD. So then I actually got the Wounded Bird version of it, and I didn't like what it looked like, and I'll explain. So it's the debut album from Vandenberg.
Okay. One
of my favorite unsung bands of the 80s, of course, Adrian Vandenberg. I recommend this to anybody that breathes oxygen. That's what the back cover looks like. And this is what it looked like on the side.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. I screwed that up.
And
okay, yeah.
And I didn't like it. So I kept the old Japanese Atlantic version that I had.
Simple black with white text.
But it's actually blue.
Oh, okay.
But it looked better. It looked more official, and it, Anyway.
Better design, anyway.
Was only available for a short window. It was an album that I'd been looking for on CD for years. It came out, and it was gone. And I ended up paying what Mike calls the late tax. I think I paid $80 for this.
Yes. That's a legendary late tax CD.
Yeah. Now, even though this eventually came out as part of the Max Webster The Party CD set, I like the fact that this is an actual jewel case, and this is one of the best EPs ever made. It came out in 2004 on Wounded Bird, and it was just a very short window that it was available, and I missed it first time around. So you pay the late tax. Okay.
I still have my copy, even though I have the party box set as well.
Yeah. That's Wounded Bird. Next one, I've just got 2 CDs. Is anyone familiar with the reissue company called One Way Records?
Maybe.
So they don't specialize in any one label, but I'll show you one of the things I have from them. One of my favorite unsung live albums ever, Sammy Hagar, All Night Long. This originally came out in 1978 on Capitol. This is the one-way reissue from 96, I think. And so the One Way Records has a little arrow logo on it. And it just reprints the back cover and does a really good job. That's what was on the back cover of the record. That's what was on the other side of the sleeve. So basically everything that was in the record is on here. And so it's it's EMI Capitol Special Markets, but it's through this One Way Records. And the only other thing I have on One Way Records is Dream.
Oh, yeah.
Dream and Day Unite, their debut album from 1989. It was originally on Mechanic MCA. This is the One Way Records reissue. So this is an MCA reissue. It's got an MCA catalog number. And it says MCA Special Products. I think this came out sometime in 97 because it was the last Dream Theater I didn't have once I got into the band.
There's a young Portnoy on the back there.
Yeah. There's absolutely nothing in it for credits. So there's this back cover.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I got the music. So yeah, that's my first round.
Cool. All right. My next round is got just one CD in it, so I can go very quickly. Round Hill Records, and I'm sure Tim knows exactly where I'm going with this one.
I have no idea. We
Okay.
Talk about it. May or may not be an episode coming.
No, Tim has not a clue, but
no.
I got this for Christmas, and I showed this off on the Christmas show, but we may as well spend a little bit more time on it. And we'll be talking, like he said, on Tim's Final Confessions. It's a little extra plug that we didn't plan. But they did a nice job of these reissues. There's one fold out from the inner booklet. There's more. There's the infamous game that you cannot win.
Yeah. I remember when I got the vinyl that, used, because I'd only had the cassette at that point, and I thought that that gatefold looked so cool.
It does on the outside too. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I'll show you the CD real quick.
The CD looks like the mid '90s remasters. They kept that
Very
style,
much so,
which I really like.
Yeah, good design, and they're all consistent. And then, of course, on the inner tray, you get to see Triumph, the complete collection, and that may or may not come into play when I talk to Mr. Durling on his show. And it's even got at the very bottom, well, not even even higher than the very bottom, Live at the US Festival, live in Sweden, Greatest Hits remixed, and can't remember what that one is.
That's the one.
That's the DVD, isn't it?
That's the one they did in Halifax. That was a big ticket.
Right. Is that a DVD release or a CD release?
I think it's both.
Okay. I'm going to have to add that to my collection, hopefully before we do our show.
We all know it's not actually complete.
It doesn't matter. I need it. Tim. You understand.
No.
Anyway.
No, that back cover. That's not all the album.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
There's the redheaded stepchild that they don't like to talk about.
Right. The Edge of Excess album with Mr. Phil Zanides on lead guitar on some tracks anyway.
The guy that won't get off his porch.
That's a Deke thing. We don't need to get into that.
You watching, Deke? Hey, man.
Hey, Deke. Anyway, that's it for just that one CD on that one label. So I may as well pass it back to Harrison, Mr. Cup. That was a really terrible act. That was more like Irish than anything else.
Well, that was meant to be an accent.
Yeah, it was terrible. Just forget that happened, okay?
All right. What were we talking about?
Your next turn. Are you going Boingo again?
Yes, continuing on. Now, the last three albums were very eclectic, cartoonish. Mike, who's heard their first album, will know that sort of style. They took things in a slightly more commercial direction with their fourth album, Dead Man's Party. This is where they I'm resisting the urge to do the Patrick Bateman, but when they released Dead Man's Party in '85, they really hit their commercial, blah, blah. Anyway,
that's the screenshot that I'm using, by the way, is you pointing at the CD. Just so you know, I've made a note of the time, 34
Bateman
minutes.
Style, yeah. I'm honored to be compared to him. Yes. But yeah, anyway, this is where they sort of got quite popular and well known. This has the Dead Man's Party. It has Weird Science, which featured in the movie Weird Science. So this is one of their most well-known albums. Inside is just more of that sort of style. They also brought in the skeleton motif here in full force, which would continue on, especially throughout the live shows for quite a while, actually, possibly till the very end. And so the bonus tracks on this one is a non-album track, Take Your Medicine, the single version of Just Another Day, the short version of Dead Man's Party, a single version of Weird Science, a weird remix of Stay, which is the Stay Late mix, a weird remix of Dead Man's Party, which is the Party Till You're Dead mix. This was around the era where they started doing a lot of remixes. Mm-hmm. And the extended dance version of Weird Science, which is, I have not listened to that yet, and I'm not really possessed with the urge to. Now, what I don't have here, the one Boingo thing I don't have from Rubellin, it's not technically Boingo, but between that album and his next one, Danny Elfman did a solo album called So Low, I think SO-LO. That was basically just, co-opted into the Boingo discography. They've played songs from that live. The song you might know if you've heard Gratitude, I think it was on the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack.
Rob's nodding yes.
That was fairly popular. But the reason why I don't have that is because so far there's only 7 Boingo CDs available. But the shipping, because this is from America to Australia, the shipping for 2 is the same. And for 1 or 2 is the same. And then it jumps to the shipping for 3 to 8. So I'd get them in little 2 CD chunks. So I don't have solo yet. But if another CD comes out, then I'll get that and solo. But what did come next then in the Boingo discography was Boingo, which is, it's even more commercial than, when I say commercial, I don't mean that's bad. I just mean it's more palatable to the masses. It's more pop than punk Floyd.
You're not expressing a preference.
No, yeah. This is actually, I think, one of my, second or third favorite albums of theirs.
Gotcha.
And they have this sort of motif. I must admit, it does make it a little hard to read the track titles when you've got that. But, oh yeah, that's the Rebellion remasters symbol there.
There it is. Okay.
Little alien and the text. And so the bonus tracks here, a non-album track, Mama, the extended dance mix of Pain, because apparently the extended dance mix of Weird Science wasn't enough. An extended remix of Not My Slave. And because there were so many remixes of Weird Science, we have a Weird Science remix that couldn't fit onto Dead Man's Party on here, which is the Boingo dance version, which I'm not sure how it differs from the extended dance remix, but I'm not particularly interested in finding out. Then an interesting a cappella version of Pain, and a club dance mix of Not My Slave. Now, some of these remixes, I'll never play them. I'll maybe listen to them once, but when it comes to a lot of these albums, I'm not buying them for the bonus tracks. I'm buying them for the album because at my age, I missed out on all the original CDs. So being able to get all the CDs or the albums from one, just about all the albums, there's a few later ones on other labels that he probably said he won't get to. But just to be able to get these albums, remastered and all, is why I'm buying them, which is why I'm annoyed that 1988 or 87's Boingo Alive was Rebellion only did it on vinyl. That's another one I don't have because it's only available on vinyl currently. And he did that. And the reason he quoted was that he didn't go for a CD because there was no bonus tracks to add to it, which kind of gutted me actually, because that's one of my favorite albums of theirs. I was sort of really looking forward to that. I'm like, well, come on, that's not a reason now. For people like me who didn't get the original CD, but he said he has a request in for it, so all is well.
Okay, good. There's
then that
on the horizon.
Remix on the end of it. There, now it's got a bonus track.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah. And the last album of this that I have is this one, Dark at the End of the Tunnel, from 1990 or 1991, I think. This album disappointed me very much when I first heard it. The song I knew from it was Skin, which I heard very early on in the whole of introducing me to the band, and I really, 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 really liked Skin. And I also heard the Escape song, which I also really liked. So I was expecting this album to be the rest up to that quality. But yeah, it's just, boring, really. I was very disappointed by this one because I had such high hopes for it. But Skin is a great song, as is Runaway the Escape song. And there's a couple of other decent songs on there. The bonus tracks here are a funky vocal mix of Out of Control, the extended version of Flesh and Blood, the Midnight Run soundtrack version of Try to Believe, and the power mix, whatever that means, of Out of Control. I forgot to show you inside here.
Nice.
And so there is actually one last studio album after this, but it's on Universal, I believe. For whatever reason, it's on a different original label to the rest of these, so he doesn't. The rights to that will be harder to get because he does, yeah. So that's not going to come. And I think their Farewell Live album is also on that label, which is a shame because I really like the Farewell Live album. They actually gave album debuts to a lot of songs that we hadn't heard on albums at the time on that live album, which would have been really cool to have. But here's hoping. That's one of the later releases. I still might be able to find that on CD if I'm lucky.
There's always hope Universal could reissue it, right?
All that, yeah.
Because Universal owns A&M and MCA. Like, they should own all the labels they've been on.
Yeah, it might not have been Universal. It might have been someone else. I can't recall off the top of my head which label it was. But yeah, he has mentioned that he's not doing that one because he can't. Although there is he did point us actually to a vinyl reissue of it if the vinylly inclined people would like to have it. That's on a different label, but good label, that one.
Gotcha.
But I do believe that's all for the Boingo. I'm
Okay.
hoping that CD release of Dead Man's Party, not Dead Man's Party, Boingo Alive comes through.
If you're watching record labels. Anyway, Mr. Daniels, it is your turn once again.
Yes. Now you mentioned in the kind of the blurb for this show that I was presenting some La La Land releases. I'll get to those.
Okay.
But La La Land is not the only album that or the only label that does soundtracks and does re-releases. Recently, which probably about maybe 6 to 8 months ago, a label called Varese Sarabande re-released the Iron Giant.
Wow, that's nice.
By Michael Kamen. And this is a fantastic expansion. And this is what I like about these deluxe versions of the albums, is that they add extra, like all the extra tracks that weren't released, at least as much as they possibly can. And this is really cool. And like I said, this is not just like, this is the Varese is generally known for their maroon labels, but this is a special black and kind of maroon release. This is like this is really cool. It's I'm sorry, what was that?
So I was just going to remark that the edge of that looked like the Sony soundtrack label.
Yeah, it does. It does kind of have that symbol there that's very close to the Sony symbol.
But yeah, that's Iron Spider-Man ones and Mad Max.
Precisely. And I have one other before we switch over. This one I was waiting for so long, and it's by a record label called Quartet Records. And I love the cover on this one. This is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Ooh, cool. Beautiful.
And this is a reissue of the oddly enough the Varese Sarabande release, remastered. And this is so well remastered. Again, they were able to do real nice separation with the instruments and that sort of thing. I was playing this and I went off to the kitchen to do some dishes, and I'm listening to it in the background, and there was the way the music was coming across. It unsettled me. And I mean, the film itself is unsettling to begin with,
right? But
to have Ennio Morricone's music in the background and just this very unsettling background music, it said to me, yeah, they did the right thing by remastering this the way they did. And again, one of my favorite remasters of, I believe, it's actually almost 3 years old.
Oh wow,
a three-year-old remaster. I thought it was 2021. No, it's 2020 that this was re-released or remastered.
Well, that's a heck of an endorsement there, Rob. This is giving you the chills.
Oh yeah, this is one of those albums that just absolutely gave me the
heebie-jeebies.
The heebie-jeebies. I can't remember who said it, but the screaming willies, I think, was one of the was a term I heard used once, and I can't remember who used it.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Okay, so I guess we're over to Tim again.
Yep, over to Tim.
Okay, so the next label I know a lot of you out there will be familiar with. It's a UK reissue label called Beat Goes On, or BGO Records. And Mike springs into action. So I've actually got several by this artist. I already showed a one-way reissue. This is Sammy Hagar's 1980 album, Danger Zone. All of these original albums of his came out on Capitol Records. They were issued on CD, but they're big time deleted. And I was just as glad that when these came out. This is actually, of all the ones I've got, they're from like 92, 93. This one's actually from 95. So it's the newest of these BGO Hagar ones that I've got. Extremely well done. That's the original back cover to the record. That's the original inner sleeve. And there's a nice write-up by Malcolm Dome, the late Malcolm Dome from Kerrang, and just about any UK rock documentary you've ever seen. And underneath the CD itself, it shows some also available titles.
Nice.
Not the live albums anyway, it's a long story, but anyway, we won't get into that. And the other one on BGO, they also do these 2-4s. Now,
yeah, there we go.
I'm weird. We all know this. I don't like the 2-4s as a rule, because it's like, if you got that CD, yeah, but it's also got the other CD on it.
And they're not consecutive. Yeah, they're not consecutive.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
At least this one's a consecutive. But okay, so anyway, it's just weird because it's like, do you have it or do you not? I'm weird. I'm weird. Okay, I'm weird.
It's not weird at all.
Non-apologetic about it. So okay, so it was a matter of like, I had these partial collections, and a few years ago, I'm like, I need to get the rest of these on CD. You know, what do I need to do? And one of the bands I did that with, because I already had most of their stuff to a certain point, was REO Speedwagon. Okay. Now, their early albums are really, really hard to find. Mm-hmm. And as it turns out, I already had the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th albums on CD, Epic CBS issues, US issues. But because of the way it worked out, you'd think, okay, well, you get 3, you only need 3. I had to buy 3 2-4s to get all of the albums, just because of the order they came in. So the one I'm going to show you is actually the first 2. So the first one's self-titled, and the second one's called REO 2. So this is a BGO issue from, I think, 2010 or 2011 or 2007, actually. I should read these. Should really read these. That's a slipcase, of course. Back cover. That's the back cover of REO 2. So yeah, there's the CD itself. Now, this is what's kind of funny. There's a nice write-up on here. It's on 2 CDs, but I have a feeling that they could have probably fit these on 1 disc, because it's not like they're long albums. And I think I see one of those ones that Mike showed. There's some other ones in the series, right?
There's my sticks.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a different one.
Okay. They probably did more. So I've got 3 of these, but that's, I was just glad to get them on CD. So, I've got them in some form or another. Next up is a label that I know a lot of people have. And the only reason I don't have more CDs by this label, I love a lot of the releases they put out, but I've already got them. But for people that are just getting the CDs to these that they might have had on vinyl or cassette, their actual labels have deleted them. So fortunately, we have Rock Candy.
Yeah.
The UK label, also a magazine, a really good magazine. I've got 3 issues here to show. First one is this lovely cover to Max Webster, High Class and Borrowed Shoes. Believe it or not, this is a Hugh Syme album cover.
No.
It is. Totally is. Yeah. Mark Popoff had a lot more to say about that when he spoke at RushCon one year. It's got the nice hype sticker on it. Now, there's no extra tracks on here, but one of the things I like about this label is that if there are extra tracks that are related to this period, they'll stick them on there. They do it right. Yeah. So a nice write-up from who wrote this? Was being the interview, Kim Mitchell. There's lots of cool pictures. Paul Suter, who I think is a Kerrang guy, or one of the UK rock mags. Let's see. I know we get a lot of Thin Lizzy fans here. There's a picture of them backstage with Brian Robertson. I don't know if you can see it, but
wow.
Yeah, no partying going on there, I'm sure.
None at all.
No. So this is really well done. And because I got into Max Webster relatively late, I did get this one. And it's nice to get a Max Webster CD that doesn't have featuring Kim Mitchell emblazoned in big letters on the cover to every stinking album.
Those always look so budget.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, but anybody that's buying a Max Webster CD, you already know.
Right.
If you know who Max Webster is, you already know Kim Mitchell was in the band.
And I absolutely guarantee you that somebody who was shopping for patio lanterns is not buying High Class and Borrowed Shoes, no matter what it says on the cover.
Exactly. That's not going to sell anybody.
Anyway. Imagine if every Black Sabbath album said featuring Tony Iommi on it.
You're a funny man, cop.
Yeah. It's like...
Oh, wait, one already does.
Yes.
Well, they actually changed that when they reissued it.
You sneak.
Okay, So the next one is a fairly well-known band from the 80s, but a lot of people don't know their first couple of albums. Survivor.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that.
Now, anybody know who this is?
Not a clue.
That's Kim Basinger.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
A very young Kim Basinger, but yeah.
So this came out in 2010. Now, I've never been sure because the internet lies. I'm not sure if this album originally came out in 1979 or 1980. I don't know. But one of the things I like about this, it originally had 11 tracks on it. And after the album came out, so they were on Scotti Brothers Records, and originally Scotti Brothers was distributed by Atlantic Records. And for their first couple of albums, that's how it went until CBS picked up the distribution with the Eye of the Tiger album and then on. So it's really hard to find those first two Survivor albums. I've never even heard tell of this on cassette. I don't even know if it exists. So I have to think it does, but I've never seen it. You'd think it wouldn't be hard to find a Survivor cassette, but this first one, yeah. So as this album came out, they put out a standalone single called Rebel Girl. Great song. And it was going to be added to second pressings of the first album, but the first album didn't sell enough to warrant a second pressing, but it's on here. That's what I like about Rock Candy. They know these bands. They don't just chuck the things out.
Yes.
And the last one I'm going to show you on Rock Candy, my favorite, and he's a friend of the show. He's a friend of my show, Mr. Andy Curran.
Yes.
Coney Hat, Out of Hand. First time it had ever been issued on CD. I've been waiting forever for a CD version of this. So, and this also has 3 really, really good bonus tracks on it, some demos. This is extraordinarily well done. And I like it even more now that I heard directly from Andy the story behind this album cover. But anyway, people can watch my Coney Hatch episode for that. Yeah, really well done. Rock Candy, you're getting quality. And like I said, the only reason I don't have more of their stuff is that I've already got like all the Dokken and the Rat and the Winger. Like I've already got those albums.
Right.
But it's great that they're making them available again. So that's my go around here.
Okay, I'm going to show some Rock Candy and then we'll run that promo. I got the first, there's the first Love Hate, Blackout in the Red Room. And I've also got Wasted in America. Good early 90s hard rock with a hint of alterna rock. This one's bonus tracks are Castle in the Sand and Soul House Tales, which I believe Soul House Tales is an interview. This one, the bonus tracks are Tinseltown, One More Round Live, and Slave Girl Live, which is a song that really irritates me, actually. Had to have it for, what the heck is that song from Iron Eagle 2?
Oh,
Never Say Die, yeah. Iron Eagle. Had to have it for that song. The bonus track here is a horrible, horrible, horrible remix of Home Street Home. It's god-awful. It's putrid. And I've got 2 John Norum solo albums that I haven't even opened yet. I bought these back in 2020 near the start of the pandemic when I was, trying to support Encore Records. And I just have not got around to listening to them because I feel like I want to absorb his first solo album, which I also bought on Rock Candy, before I dive into these. So these are in the rainy day pile.
I'm pretty sure that one with the white, the black and white album cover.
Yeah.
I think Kelly Keeling from Baton Rouge sings on some of those songs. I'm a big fan of his.
Well, the liner notes are definitely going to tell me if the hype sticker
Norm's not a bad singer in his own right.
No, he's not actually, yeah.
But yeah.
Growing up, he was one of my favorite guitar players, from the Final Countdown. I was really into that album.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh at that song. Play that effing solo.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so I got to go get some props for my promo, but we're going to run Tim's promo. And this is a really important one, so give it a watch.
Hey, grab a stack of rock viewers. How about this show, eh? Mike, he's the man. Mike has generously allowed me a few minutes of your time to tell you about a contest I'm having over on my YouTube channel, Tim's Final Confessions. I recently celebrated a 400th episode, which is a pretty big milestone. And to do that, I'm having a combination of a sale and a contest. I am selling full color, high resolution copies in PDF form of my book, Unspooled, and Adventure in 8 Tracks for just $5 US. $5 US. PayPal it to me at tbdurling@gmail.com, and you immediately get the PDF link so you can enjoy Unspooled on your device anywhere. Also, your name goes in for a draw. If we successfully sell 400 of these PDFs in honor of episode 400, your name is entered in to win a draw. First prize is a $100 Amazon gift card. Second prize, a $50 Amazon gift card. And the third prize is a $25 Amazon gift card. Why am I doing this? Well, celebrating 400 episodes, and also I would like to someday make merch available for my channel. I'd love to be offering t-shirts, desk calendars, coffee mugs, things like that. I know a lot of people have reached out to me because we did have 2 or 3 Tim's Vinyl Confessions shirts just made up for people that were on the show. But to make them available to sell, this is where you come in. You can help make that possible by getting yourself a $5 PDF of my book, Unspooled, an Adventure in 8 Tracks. If you want to find out more, just Facebook message me at Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'll answer all of your questions. Thank you very much. Now let's get back to Grab a Stack of Rock.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I couldn't even hear that, and I know what I said.
I would also like to point out that Tim has not moved from his chair since he sent me that video yesterday.
No, same shirt. Yeah.
And as far as my promo goes, I picked these up at Toys R Us on the weekend. That's 3 of the 4 KISS members. The 4th, Ace Frehley, landed today at my parents' house. I will be picking it up, and I will be unboxing these next week live on my show. Next week will be a special time. It'll be 3:00 p.m. because we have a time zone issue. We are having the one and only California girl Married in Heels on the show, and I have to admit I am very nervous because we're going live and she has 200,000 followers, and I'm moderating comments. Anyway, tune in next week to that show. Special time, 3:00 p.m. February 3rd. That's my promo. That makes it Harrison's turn, and I really only have enough stuff left for one turn.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, is Shout Factory a reissue label, or are they more of a regular label?
As far as I know, they're a reissue.
I
They
think they're a
specialize in
reissue
reissues.
label for music and movies and TV shows.
Yep.
All right, so I'm just going to grab maybe 1 or 2 things if I can reach them.
Yeah, a lot of Mystery Science Theater shows up on Shout Factory, I believe.
That's right. That's what we need. We need little guys at the bottom of the screen heckling us as we go.
What is this?
Look at Harrison. He can't even get his shit together. You know.
Yeah. So this is Salvo. I believe they're a reissue label because I'm pretty sure Slade wasn't on Salvo originally.
Oh, Tim's giving you the thumbs up there. Yeah.
This is my favorite Slade studio album from 1981. Hard organ-infused rock. And the bonus track here, I think I've shown this one off before, but Funk, Punk, and Junk, it's the B-side to one of the singles here. Then I have shown this one off as well. Mike showed off an Angel Air disc before. This is a really good one. This is the one
Let me
with
guess,
Paul
Mario Day.
Yeah. So
And
not
tell the
just a-
audience what band they know Paul Mario Day from.
He's the very first singer of Iron Maiden, before Dennis Wilcox, before Paul Di'Anno, before Bruce Dickinson and Blaze, the very first one. And he was fired for, despite having a great voice, having no stage presence.
He also had a band called More.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just M-O-R-E.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
They had a couple albums on Atlantic in the early 80s.
Yeah. Even though this is 10 years after he was in Iron Maiden, you can absolutely hear why he got the job and why Steve said he had a great voice, because he does. And he actually lives in Australia. He has for a while. I believe shortly after this tour, well, not this tour, but he toured Australia around this time. And I think he married the Australian tour manager and relocated down here.
That's cool.
And lastly, the Shout Factory. Eagle Rock's a reissue label, right? Or are they...
Yes,
No.
they do.
Yeah.
Well, they do a lot of reissues. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a ton of DVDs of theirs back there, but I can't grab those. This is the Shout Factory one. This is the
Oh yes,
20th anniversary edition of Concrete Blonde's Bloodletting album.
with the Obi strip on the top.
Yeah, it's not a Japanese version, but it has basically a little Obi strip there for some reason.
I like that detail. I'll tell you what the reason is. It's because when you're flipping through the CDs in the store, it gives you something on the top to look at, and it's more attractive than the piece of cellophane that a lot of other releases had.
That's a good point. Now, I haven't actually opened this, and I might not be the one to open this, but we'll have to see. The bonus tracks here, a non-album track, I Want You, a cover of Little Wing that I really like, the French version of Bloodletting the Vampire Song. There's a French version, a German version, a short version, a long version, and the original version. But you only get 2 on here. The long version's on that other rarities collection I have. Not sure how you get the German version, and the short version is on their recollection best of. Also, you get 3 of the 4 live tracks from the 1990 tour edition of this album that I have, but not the 4th for some reason, which is odd.
Yeah, you've mentioned that before, I believe. Yeah,
I did. Yeah, that was, I think, the reason why I chose the tour edition over getting this for myself was because of that live version of God is a Bullet, which you don't get on there. And then I got the rarities collection for, Little Wing and a couple other things.
Right. All right. Was that it?
That's it for my final round.
All right.
Real quick, I got this Nazareth live album Snaz, and a lot of the Nazareth issues are on Salvo.
There you go.
And this is a great live album. I highly recommend it. And Rob, you'll appreciate this. Like, it's got tracks from the era, so it's got Crazy, A Suitable Case for Treatment from Heavy Metal on here because it's from 81. Cool. So yeah, Salvo is definitely a reissue label.
Cool.
Sorry to hog some time there.
No.
Yeah, no worries.
Not at all.
Yeah, Salvo do a lot of Slade albums, but I only have that one.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I guess Gimli Cat. It looks like he's in control of the situation at this point.
All right. Well, I forgot to include this one on my last round, so I'll just make this really quick. This is on I guess an independent label called Flick, and this is the 1990 reissue of the Hardware soundtrack by Simon Boswell. This is major, fantastic, extremely well remastered, and even though it's very brief, it does feature the voice of Lemmy.
Oh wow!
So it's talking about being able to go like the film Hardware is set in kind of like this post-apocalyptic 2000s future kind of thing, and he's driving a boat and he's talking about you used to be able to go down there anytime, just have a brass knuckles or whatever or a piece of pipe. Nowadays you need a gun all the time. It's really cool.
I'm almost more amused by Gimli. I mean, look at him hog that camera.
So yeah, that's one I forgot. This is a really good remaster.
Cool,
I'm not sure if it's still available. It might be, but if you do go on to look up Simon Boswell Hardware and you'll be able to find it. No problem.
That's cool, Rob.
All right, now I think Harrison might appreciate this one. This is as soon as you said Boingo, I went, well, or Danny Elfman, I went, well, I gotta show this. This is a reissue of the Batman soundtrack from '89. Now this is a 2-disc or a 4-disc set.
What?
Because this has got both Batman Returns and the original '89 Batman on it, and these are all expanded. Basically every piece of music that was written for the film is on this release. Now it was released separately, but this is how it was sent to me when I originally got it. This is from La La Land, the La La Land label.
That's really cool.
Gotta keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
So that's 2 doubles basically.
Yeah, it's basically 2 doubles. Now,
a long time since I've seen a new disc come in one of the big cases.
The fat cases we used to call them.
Yeah.
I like them. They've got character.
I agree. They're easier to find in my collection.
Okay. Another La La Land release reissue that I was particularly pleased that they released was X-Men X2. X-Men, I believe it's X-Men United or whatever.
I can't remember. I think I just call it X2.
Yeah, it might be a Mad Max
I have
Road
the wrong
Warrior
one.
situation.
This is the original release. Give me a second. This is the La La Land release.
Oh,
and this has a second disc that I actually got. Was sent to me by John Ottman's agent at the time, and it had all of the music that was not released on the on this release, but has been released on this release since.
Okay.
So yeah, this is pretty cool, and this features a I think the first use of the opening, the 20th Century Fox opening that alters the end note, so it actually starts into the X-Men theme, which is da 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 da, which has that. So that's it didn't get featured until later on, but this was the first official recording was on this release.
That's cool.
All right.
I remember the Alien 3 messed with the 20th Century Fox fans.
Yes, it did, and it's one of my favorite ones of the 20th Century Fox. What they messed with. Continuing with the X's, I particularly like this reissue of the X-Files movie score, "Fight the Future." It is extremely well remastered. It sounds gorgeous. Especially that it's Threnody and X. It's the opening cue of the film, and it's gorgeously remastered. Going quickly here because I wanted to get to these last two before it gets too late. The first one.
These are the ones I wanted to see.
This is Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Oh, yeah.
This is a 3-disc set that I found out in the wild. I was on the website of the record store. Beat goes on.
Yep.
And they had it listed there as sealed. And I went, where else am I going to find this? It had just gone out of print. I had just read that it had just gone out of print. They initially did a release of 10,000. They all sold out. So this showed up here in Canada, and I went, even though it's a bit on the expensive side, I'm going to pick it up because by the time I pay shipping, by the time I pay taxes, and by the time I pay the exchange, it's going to cost equally as much. This is a fantastically, extremely well done release. It features an expanded release of the score. It features a whole bunch of alternate takes, but my favorite on here has to be the where they're actually doing the recording of the theme, and you hear Jerry Goldsmith talking to the orchestra about what needs to be done and how we're going to approach this. It is like a 6 or 7 minute long cue, but it is absolutely so cool to hear. This also features the David Cassidy Star Beyond Time, I believe it's what it's called. Star Beyond Time. It was actually Sean Cassidy it was released in Japan only on 45, and if I can ever find that 45, I will grab onto it. It is based on it's a song based on the Ilea theme from the film.
Kirk unit.
Yes.
Unit.
This 3-disc is unfortunately no longer available. They just reissued a 2-disc, but it does not feature all the extras that are on the 3rd disc. So
right.
This to me, this is the one to have. But if you can only get the 2-disc, get the 2-disc. It was gorgeously remastered.
I have the 2-disc, but that's what I want.
Yeah. All right, and finally, this one was a no-brainer. But they did a equally good job on Wrath of Khan.
I want that one too.
And this, I believe, is still available. But yeah, it just beautifully remastered. Some fantastic stuff on here with like additional music and that sort of thing. And it's, to me, there is one other that has kind of a definitive sound to it, but this one here was released by La La Land. I wanted this for 2 reasons. 2 reasons was the the expanded release, but then also I wanted that gorgeous Amazing Grace that goes from the bagpipes to the full orchestra.
Oh,
at the
so
end.
good, so good.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. This is another really good Star Trek album that was that was reissued by La La Land Records. So that's all I've got. I could do more, but that's all I've got for tonight.
Okay, sounds good to me. Mr. Durling, I've only got like one more thing I'll show.
Okay. Real quick, I put a few other things off to the side. So I promised that I was going to do this, so call this one an honorable mention because it's the only thing I have.
Okay.
So Universal had a reissue label. I don't even know if it's still in operation, called Hippo.
Yes.
Yes.
They put out a lot of like definitive collection CDs and a few individual albums. And one that I absolutely had to pick up is this.
There you
YT
go.
Open Fire originally came out in '85. And one thing you'll notice about this, let me hold up another disc next to it. It's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so it wouldn't fit in a, if it was an individually, anyway. So what I like about this, originally this only had 8 songs on it. And one of those songs was the studio version of Summertime Girls, which also appeared on Down for the Count. It's real confusing. A&M didn't know what they were doing. No wonder they didn't make these guys stars. But the Summertime Girls single had a live version of that song that never made any reissues, never made any compilations. It's on here. There's also a live version of Black Tiger that wasn't on the original album. They've reprinted. It's got stamped limited edition on here. So I don't know how common this is anymore. That's the actual back cover. That's the write-up that was on it, but it is so small. It is really hard to read. Now, what's inside of this is kind of neat. So it's got this booklet. It's got it's actually all the same stuff that I've got in my original Japanese CD, but it's kind of cool. It's reprints, the inner label. It comes in this little sleeve like this, but what I want to show you is it's exactly the same as Harrison's Boingo Boingo. I don't want to damage this. And it's reprinting the old A&M logo. So that's the A&M label they used, I think, from the early to mid 80s. So just things like that are a nice touch. I like it when I can tell that work was put into it. When something's left off sort of inexplicably, it's like, either you ran out of money or like, I've kind of gotten over when something doesn't have a soundtrack song on it, because I know sometimes it costs so much to license songs from the movie studio.
The Leafs scored.
So, so fine. So the last thing I have is probably the ultimate reissue label, and that's Rhino. It's pretty tough to beat. Rhino Records, which started out as its own thing.
We all know.
I think the first thing they started reissuing were Monkees albums, like in '87.
Yeah.
But then eventually they were bought by Warner, and they put out some extremely well done box sets. The Alice Cooper one being my all-time favorite, just the work that's gone into that. But I just want to show you some individual albums that I have that are remastered. Robert Plant, Shaken and Stirred, originally from '85. This is 2007. Reissue, and it even reprints the original
Nice.
Esperanza label, which I think was Robert Plant's imprint, because I think the only things I've ever seen on it are his first 3 solo albums and the Honey Drippers album.
That's right, the Honey Drippers. Yep.
Then there's this, one of my favorite debut albums.
I have that.
It's got that radio broadcast from KSAN, from KSAN, before the band even had a name. And I love the fact that they do such a good job. They're reprinting the old Burbank palm tree labels. They did one for Paper Money, which I've got to get because there's an extra song on it. And as a connoisseur of all things Sammy Hagar, I kind of have to get it.
If I can interrupt, Alice Cooper, $1 Billion Babies is a very similar reissue with a live album from '73.
It's one of the best. It reprints the inner sleeve, which had, and it's got the original like puke olive green Warner label that they use. But yeah, the live stuff is really cool. It's got the
Slick Black Limousines on there too.
Yeah, it reprints the
the
it's just so, I mean, the original vinyl is so cool. Next one I'm going to go to, I still need to find this is one that broke. Anyway, Deep Purple Burn, just well done.
Now you're missing the outer sleeve.
This is how it came from Columbia House, other than the fact that the top is broken. This is one of the casualties of my big spill.
I'm pretty sure mine came with an outer sleeve, although I could be wrong. It could be Stormbringer.
Some of them do, some of them don't. It's weird. Here's one that did. Yes, Fragile.
Yeah.
Health,
Fragile.
Fragile.
Italian.
Yeah, which does come with an outer sleeve. This is what started me on Yes. The kids got it for me for a joke because of Roundabout. Long story. And the last thing is the only piece of vinyl I have is Whitesnake's Greatest Hits
Vinyl. Tim, you're breaking our rules here tonight.
revisited, remixed, and remastered.
Yeah,
I just consider this the vinyl version of the '94 Greatest Hits.
it is. Yeah, it is.
So yeah, so that's all. I've got more, but I know time is of the essence. So
Yep. Well, thank you, Tim. Thank you so much. Even though you put a vinyl up there at the end.
I didn't know that was a rule.
No, it wasn't. I'm joking.
Okay. Good thing I didn't show these Queensryche cassettes. Anyway.
Ooh, I was going to show off a bunch of these, these deluxe editions, but this is a 3-disc one, which is kind of nice. But, we've all seen those, so I thought I'd show something a little different. I mentioned Sony Legacy. These are gorgeous. I have a whole bunch more, but these Johnny Cash reissues, they all have bonus tracks. This one here has 3. A mono version of Engine 143, I'm Proud the Baby Is Mine, and Mama, You've Been on My Mind. Great liner notes. That's what the disc looks like. These are fantastic reissues. This is the way to get the Johnny Cash albums, and there's a lot of these. Like, my collection is putrid compared to what you could have. This album's a little hard to listen to if I remember. I think this is the one where he does a lot of talking, like between the songs about trains.
Well, those old country guys put out 3 albums a year. So
they did.
I don't know how you'd ever get them all.
But great value here. Previously unreleased tracks, previously unreleased in the US tracks. I love Johnny Cash, but there's just so much that I have to accept that at some point, I'm never gonna hear all the Johnny Cash because there's other music I like too. Anyway, that was a fun show, boys. I thank you so much for showing up tonight and doing this. Mr. Daniels, what is coming up on Visions in Sound?
Hey, sorry, I quickly got to head out.
Take care, Harrison.
Yeah.
Thank you as always, my friend.
See ya.
See you, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Just quickly, Tim, you reminded me of Hippo Records. I got a very interesting Shaft in Africa on Hippo Select.
Yeah, that's what this is Hippo Select. That's right.
And so the great thing about this is that it's not a disc, or sorry, it's not a jewel case. It's actually like an album. It looks like an album.
Yeah,
retro
really
album sleeve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Anyway,
cool.
tonight on Visions in Sound is my tribute to the late Angelo Badalamenti, who did the music for, among other things, Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet.
Yes,
So.
David Lynch. Yeah, cool. And Mr. Durling, what do you have this weekend on Tim's Vinyl Confessions? I
have Mr. Snow. And talking about Mr. Aldo Nova and his 2 new EPs. And while I'm at it, John and I also appeared on Grant's Rock Warehouse, who, as we speak, has premiered the Aldo Nova episode, which is a complete career retrospective. That's also up. So I'm more than happy to spread the word about this guy, that there's more to him than just fantasy. And I've got that coming up. Obviously, I've got my contest going on, and thank you so much, Mike, for playing the promo. And I've got some other cool things that I've got a few feelers out there to try and get some guests that I haven't had before. So
right on.
So yeah, and then I believe Mike and I have got something in the hopper.
We're planning a couple of different things, but there's definitely one that's coming soon.
It'll be victorious once we get it right.
We just gotta,
give you a real winning feeling.
Tim, it just takes time to make time.
Yeah.
I hope we're talking about the same thing. Anyway, thank you guys. Like I said, next week, Friday's show will be at 3 p.m. and we're doing the special with Married in Heels. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of comments and I'm nervous as hell. I'm going to play a song to go out. And this is one I'd like to dedicate to Mr. Robert Daniels, who introduced me to this video. It's a song called Powerhouse. And I'm a big fan of this one. I love it. Let's rock. Powerhouse. We'll see you next week at 3 p.m. Take care, guys.
Good night.
Okay, ciao.
Time for a Richard Hudnut Extra. Here's Raymond Scott with a quintet in a dynamic version of his own composition, Powerhouse.